Or why are you confusing?
Okay.
I was told that अभी तक शो का नाम तय नहीं है. But
नहीं है
anyways.
क्या? तो फिर छोड़ो यार. Bulls were in banter from whatever I know. But point being that yesterday was a very interesting day for all three of us. More Mahima than any of the three of us.
No, absolutely not. It was important for
but-
NDTV Profit as a whole.
Yeah, but so and therefore Mahima. But point being that some interesting narratives,
Yes.
Neeraj sir, and you spoke to Rhythm. We also spoke with Ramdev Agarwal. Both of them were super bullish on
Yes.
India. And when I spoke to Radhika Gupta as well, not particularly bearish, but just suggesting that the time horizon needs to be extended. Just because expectations and volatility both need to be factored in is what she was suggesting. But today we are seeing a good rally. Do you believe we've turned the corner, in your opinion, given all the interactions you've had, both on stage and off? More importantly, off.
These days, never say for certain. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things in the price. I mean, yesterday Rhythm Desai said, right, that at some point of time in the next 6 months, people will stand up and they, oh my God, this was a thing
Yes.
missed.
Yeah.
There's a dip that was missed to be bought. Now, I really think it depends on growth, and if growth were to come back, then certainly there is headroom, or there is room created for both the ultra HNI investor, for the mutual fund which is sitting on cash, and for the FII more importantly. So I think, interestingly, I was talking to Citi today and or Rhythm yesterday. Rhythm mentioned about that FI flows will not drive the market, liquidity will. Debatable, but be that as it may, Rhythm understands this very well.
Yeah.
But I think the simplistic way of putting this is that when people are talking about how the US has 4.5% growth and plus or 4.5% bond return on bonds, the fixed income return plus currency depreciation नहीं होता है, so उसका 2% ऐड कर लो plus equity risk premium, तो अगर उसको 12% मिल रहा है वहाँ पे, तो why would they come to India? I think Surendra Goyal made this very interesting point. He said at every bear market this argument comes in, and therefore this argument has come in a number of times, and still Indian markets have rallied all through the last years. So therefore, instead of trying to think of it that way, why don't people think of it this way, that because this has happened and because the FI positioning is at a 15-year high in terms of underweight, it creates the room for the FI to come back if he wants, because the FI is not heavily overweight India.
Right.
So if the FI is very overweight India, and if India shows material growth, it will be very difficult for the FI fund manager to justify to the board that if I was already overweight, how did I add on to India even if I believed that there's growth? They are run by rules and regulations. But if they are so underweight, and if India starts showing growth, then it might come back. So I think so much hinges on what Q4 will dish out, and which is why something that we said about 15-20 days ago, that the last 15 days of March, when the companies who come on air and talk about how is the quarter looking like or have gone by, that commentary will be so important for what happens to the markets.
Right. I think interestingly you also said कि अगर domestic buying इतना strong है तो FIs मतलब कहीं तो जाके market sell करेगा ना, और FI sell कर रहे हैं. On a lighter note, he said that. And for specifically the mid caps and small caps, Ramdev Agarwal, in a very interesting way he mentioned कि it is like अनुलोम विलोम, कि कहीं अगर breathe कर रहे हैं तो breathe out भी तो करना पड़ेगा,
Yeah,
and he said कि the way mid caps and small caps have run up, he said that in a way कि ये पूरा चोरी वाला पैसा है, but what he meant was कि these were not supposed to, see this kind of run, considering, how stocks are being valued right now. The valuations are so high कि इतना stock run अब होना ही नहीं चाहिए था, तो market के पास अब वो पैसा वापस आ रहा है. So, that was a interesting way of putting things into perspective as to why, mid caps and small caps, are seeing this kind of downtick in trade. And of course, we've always seen कि bull run है तो mid caps and small caps will, soar higher than the large caps. And at the same time, bear run they will be the ones seeing the kind of pressure that they're already seeing. So yeah, I mean, interesting.
Yeah, and more interestingly, I would also want to put some weightage on Rhythm's picks. He still was suggesting that financials are looking really good in this market. And Rhythm tends to get those things right. I remember in Diwali, he was talking about how cement and cement prices will lead to a rally in cement stocks, and cement stocks did outperform over the next 2 to 3 months. So he does have a good pulse, and what we'd urge you all to do is go and listen into those couple of interviews. One was, of course, the common interview which Neeraj took with Rhythm, Dinesh, and Ashish Kumar Chauhan. But I did a separate short one with Rhythm as well, just extending the conversation, adding a few questions to what he already said to you for viewer clarity. And thereafter, Ramdev's interview also would urge everyone to go and listen in, because some very interesting nuggets. In fact, I was rewatching it yesterday, and I could still take out a few things which I didn't grab the first time. So some very interesting stuff that both of them were spoken about.
So to Alex Kalachil, I'm hoping I'm getting that name correct. His question, I think some of that is what Hersh mentioned, kind of Rhythm's answer had it, right? Can you discuss sector rotation and which sector will rally in the next FY? Now, difficult to call what happens in the next financial year, but if anything is to go by from what people are saying, cement. In fact, in the Diwali show, Rhythm mentioned that cement companies will not sustain these margins, will go up. So cement could be one. Today, Rashi Chopra of Citi mentioned that they are still constructive cement, but I think the consensus call seems to be BFSI.
And we've done 2-3 really good, TV links as well, where we've highlighted the average upside.
TV देखने कौन जाएगा?
I'll have to pull those out, but we'll do that in the next 5 minutes. Let me pull that out.
So you can try pulling that out. Till then, Abraham Chaco, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, what's the view on PSU companies is his question, and have they corrected enough to start buying?
Difficult to say. I think depends on which PSU sector you are at, right? And in some cases, the order books or the order inflows might actually start going down a bit. So therefore, a lot of these stocks will not rally because of their quarterly results. They might correct because order flow is coming off. So bear that in mind. So you need to be careful about what within PSUs are you also wanting to gain. Maybe PSU banks, not a bad bet, considering banking itself might look solid, and therefore one of these PSU banks might actually do well, the larger ones in particular. But if you're looking to get into, let's say, capital good related sectors in PSUs, then you might want to be a bit careful because one doesn't know the run rate of capex after 3 heady years. Even though the absolute number may still be okay, will the growth number of capex be a bit lower than the average for the last 3 years? And that may disappoint the street because the multiples will come off. Right? I mean, just today on TV, by the way, on closing show, I won't be there, but our colleague will be doing a small piece on companies that have actually seen their earnings get upgraded for FY25 and 26, and yet multiples have come off. So the stocks will not do well if the P multiple is getting derated. And a lot of sectors, transformers, etc., all of them have seen their multiples getting derated. So similar in PSUs, I would reckon.
Okay, upside. The stocks with the maximum upsides is as of 14th February, guys. So maybe a week or so dated, but maybe just 3-4 trading sessions. Sign DLM. 109% potential, 10 analysts tracking this one. Prince Pipes, 66% potential. Also today we had Investec initiate on Venus Pipes, 40% upside potential, stock is up 5. Suntech Realty, 65% upside potential. 13 analysts track this one, mind you. CESC, 63% upside, 11 analysts tracking. Godrej Prop, 19 analysts tracking, 57% upside. Data Patterns, 55% upside, 10 analysts tracking. REC, 53% upside, 12 analysts tracking. AB Capital, 53% upside. Power Finance, 53%. Z Entertainment, 52 with 20 analysts tracking this one. And Repco Homes, 52 with again 10 analysts tracking this one. What we'll also do is we'll put up a list of this on our page or on this screen for easier reference. when you're watching it again or rewatching this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some pockets where you could start looking at least that's the average analyst estimate. Take care that earnings deratings don't happen in some of these, because you could see the cuts on the EPS reflect even on the target prices, if that were to happen.
So this is the highest upside as per Bloomberg analysts,
Yes.
combined. But I think what would be interesting to pull out is something that we were discussing. I think we can do that for you tomorrow. What we'll do is we'll see what companies are giving, at least a 25% growth in their revenues and where valuations look attractive right now. That list is something that will be interesting. We'll pull that out definitely for you tomorrow. We were going to talk about pharma stocks. There are hints that Trump might put around 25% tariffs on import of pharmaceuticals.
No, so actually, a lot of it is up in the air, right? But there are 2 or 3 simple aspects to this. One, whether pharma companies can pass on this increased cost, because they will not take everything. Let's assume they have the pricing power, then they may pass it on, etc. and stuff like that, and therefore margins may not correct as much. One is the extent of tariffs that come in. 2, how much of it can be passed on. But 3, and the more important thing is, a lot of local and global funds are invested in these names. Now, do they rotate out of these into other facets of healthcare? Let's assume they want to stay in the healthcare sector, because now they don't invest in pharma, they invest in healthcare. Hospitals, CDMO companies, diagnostic companies, so on and so forth, right? So if they want to stay in healthcare, but they want to rotate out of pharma, do they want to stay in healthcare? And if so, do they go to the other facets? Or do they say, okay, fine, we don't have to necessarily be benchmarked, overweight the index weightage. We can go into other sectors which are better valued, जहाँ पे uncertainty नहीं है. And if that is what has to happen, then the stock prices may correct, irrespective of whether fundamentally the companies can pass on the increased costs or no. A lot of arguments will come. Okay, US wants to get the healthcare costs down. How can they do it if Indian drugs are more expensive? At the same time, they are looking at China +1. So all of these put together, these are negotiating tactics and will not go through. May well be the case. No one has a clue. Will a fund manager whose fund may underperform, if the pharma stocks correct so much, reduce the weightage a little bit? Is the question. And if the answer is yes, might be prudent. If the 2 of you are fund managers, would you do that? And if you believe that yes, the fund manager may do that and rotate out, then there might be a bit of a domino effect that there might be some selling into these stocks. And then already Aurobindo Pharma started 7% lower, is up only 3%. Is down only 3%. So therefore, some bit of intraday recovery has happened. But who's to say?
Yeah, so Varsha, one of our researcher who tracks this space very closely, has also put down a list as to which companies have a lot of US exposure, and the first stock is Aurobindo Pharma, like you rightly mentioned. It's around the revenue contribution from these from US for Aurobindo Pharma is 46%. For Cipla, it is 28%, Lupin, it is 37%, Dr. Reddy's, it is 46%, Torrent Pharma, it is around 10%. She's also mentioned, interestingly, this is a very interesting thing that I found out, is she's mentioned impact of 10% tariffs on earnings per share for all of these companies. So for Aurobindo Pharma, it's around 5.5%, Cipla 4%, Dr. Reddy's around 6.5%, Lupin it's around 4%, Sun Pharma and Torrent Pharma and Sun Pharma and Torrent Pharma is around 1-2.8 odd percent, and Zydus Life Sciences it's around 6%. This is from an HSBC report is what she's mentioned as a source. So yeah, interesting. So all of these companies will be in focus, and we'll have to wait and watch out as to how these things play out.
I really don't think anyone, including the Trump administration or people within it, will know exactly how this will play out. So it's a very difficult kind of a guess to make, and what the impact also will be, because and please correct me if I'm wrong, you have more experience in this than I do. Certain drugs which may be classified as essentials may actually not get tariffed. Some which may be lower in the pecking order in terms of priority may well get tariffed the full 25, and therefore some of these percentages may not really align either. It's just my view
for the earning per share,
and I may again well be wrong, because I don't think anyone really knows how this is going to play out.
And it may not impact at all if it's being transferred to the
25% right? is difficult to transfer also, I think.
But 25,
right off the bat.
I mean, there'll be just some pockets, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah, so which I'm saying, I think it's a
Very
very difficult
difficult
one to gauge. But I think the question therefore is just this, that do funds reduce the exposure in the wake of this uncertainty? And
Either that, or then do funds look at a Macquarie note today and so bullish. I mean, just the commentary that's coming out of that note. Pharma is doing well in trade today, or possibly on the back of that note, because otherwise largely negative, right? Two US FDA observations and therefore on two different companies, including an Aurobindo. And therefore you saw both of those sulk in trade at the start at least. But Pharma buzzing today because of that Macquarie note, and the note suggesting that the tailwind, especially with regard to CDMO, is going to be massive. They've given Divi's and a target price of 7,400, which is sizable. And what they've said on Divi's is 3 times, if I recall right, 3 times EBITDA growth and 4x on PAT, 4x of PAT by FY30 is what they're penciling in. Just have a relook at that. Was it revenue or EBITDA? But point being that 4x of PAT is no mean feat. Divi's is currently trading at 70 times plus. 4x of PAT would well mean that multiple shrinks very, very quickly in terms of price to earnings, not EBITDA earnings. Could shrink very, very quickly. And therefore, you know, there's a certain pocket which could well be the CDMO opportunity, which may do well anyway, regardless of what happens on the tariff front, because some of these drugs are so specialized. It's difficult to find large capacities of these drugs elsewhere, etc., etc., and therefore difficult to replicate.
Difficult to replicate for sure. Yeah, so I mean, some interesting ones.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's all about fun. Is asking rupees 250 SIPs in microcap stocks. What's your view? I mean, if mid caps and small caps have fallen so much, microcaps, we don't even kind of track those microcap indexes, but 250 rupees in microcap SIPs. 250 is a small amount comparatively.
Yeah, but you might,
But
I mean, some microcaps are priced at northwards of 500 per share. So
Yeah.
250 mein aapko आधा share milega.
Yeah.
So my microcap doesn't mean that the share price will be lower any which ways, right? Per
Yeah.
se. But yeah, I mean, there are some microcaps which, I mean, some of the recycling companies, they are whatever, less than 3,000 crores. So technically might be in the microcap category, right? Because it's only top 500 which exhaust mid caps and small caps. So recycling companies have bounced back 15-20% in the last 2-3 days. So some micro caps will be doing well. I mean, it's a very bottom up thing. There are a lot of sectors which are micro cap only.
Yeah.
By SEBI definition, micro cap, right? They are micro cap only. So, क्या करोगे? If you want to buy that sector, you have to go into the micro cap space. So yeah, I mean, a clutch of names out there, right? I mean, a lot of companies doing well. Some of the defense companies might bounce back. Some of the recycling companies might go back. And some of the chemical companies might do well. So a lot of micro caps out there for the offing.
Okay.
I'll just cap the point on Divi's. 3x of top line is what Macquarie is penciling in by FY30. 4x of bottom line, of current bottom line, is what they will do by FY30. And target price is 7,400. They've initiated with an outperform. You've also got Blue Jet. They believe that moving up the value chain, profitability and return ratios are improving. CDMO business to grow substantially and ramp up in molecules. They like Suven Pharma as well. Solid antibody drug conjugate that Suven has is what they're impressed by. They believe earnings set to grow 6-fold by FY30 of the FY24 base. 6x. So nearly 7 years, 6x is what they're penciling in. Well, Syngene as well, they have an outperform. Medium-term earnings to materially improve is what they believe. Unique position to benefit from the biotech funding recovery. And supply chain de-risking should aid the numbers. Increasing capabilities are matched by higher capacity expansion as well as utilization. Both of those to kind of play well for Syngene. So those are some names for you in the pharma space, and likely why pharma is buzzing in trade today. But sorry, yeah,
No, nothing. Now we have 3 minutes left, so let's do a bit of a rapid fire, right? So
Okay.
let's see. Somebody's asking. So okay, Sekhon is asking, now with the entry of Tesla into Indian market in final stages, what's the impact for Indus Towers if Starlink follows suit? I don't have a view here.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to call because Starlink. I have a cousin who uses Starlink, or rather has registered for Starlink, and I don't believe that there is an ease to that registration process. Whereas you look at other players, they've made it fairly easy for you to onboard as a customer. So lot of other variables need to be looked at as to how they'll onboard customers, how quickly will they do that. And maybe then we'll be in a better place to say
Cool.
it's too early days.
Okay. Mahima, Zomato. I don't think you can answer whether he can sell and buy it at lower
Yeah.
price or no, but what are brokerages saying on Zomato? Any
So-
recent ones?
Right. So no recent ones, but the way Q3 panned out, since they have, said that the 2,000 dark store that they were going to do by FY26, they're now going to do it by 2025, which means that their margins, their profitability, next 2 to 3 quarters, they're going to see losses for sure, is what they've said. And margins, of course, will be under pressure
I'll have
because
to-
of this addition.
I just have
Sure.
to move out. There is a meeting that I have to go for, but
Sure.
you guys
See you, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, done.
see.
We'll quickly wrap this.
Yes,
Yeah.
and which is why Zomato is going to, face the pressure even in terms of stock performance as well.
But Swiggy or Zomato?
Zomato, because Swiggy right now is, putting their foot in every direction that they can.
But it's trading
right
at
now.
a discount.
Definitely,
Sharp
but
discount to
but then
Zomato.
business is also something that we need to see, right?
Fair point.
Their original business is food delivery and Instamart, which should be the focus and not foraying into different businesses right now. And the IPO money that has been raised should be put to use for what it's been raised for, which is why right now Zomato has Swiggy is yet to prove their execution capabilities,
Yes.
which Zomato has already done with Blinkit.
Yeah.
Which is why, and Zomato is way bigger when it comes to the quick commerce space right now.
But one risk that I possibly see here is next 2
Zepto.
quarters you will continue to see some bit of margin dilution. Of course, competition, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. But there you will continue to see margin dilution, and therefore begs the question that if markets remain this way, volatile, will you get opportunities to buy at a lower price? Well, it's a
Maybe.
question
Yes.
that none of us can answer, but maybe you can do your own homework.
Or
and-
you can
and
come to
probably
Ask
try.
Profit and ask us.
Yeah,
Our guests
yeah,
can
absolutely.
probably,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
technical analysts can
Perspectives.
probably, yeah. Trent, what's your view on Trent? Okay, so we discussed this the other day as well, that despite of posting a 37% growth in revenue, the street was not happy because Trent has always posted over a 50% growth when it comes to
Dil mange
revenue.
more.
Dil
Street
mange
mange
more,
more.
exactly. But definitely, it's doing new things, entering lab-grown diamond space, and Zudio and Westside have done very well for Trent overall. Star Bazaar is a concern for them because, like Avenue Supermarts is also facing the competition coming in from quick commerce, so is Star Bazaar right now. So Star Bazaar is their only weak link for now. But overall, Trent, of course, when it comes to Trent valuations, I don't know when will it get cheap, to probably enter. But overall the growth picture remains intact for the counter, but valuations are still very expensive.
Okay, what we'll try to do is we'll try to sum up all the entire conversation we've had. We started off by talking about how some of the large investors as well as people closer to the market, Aridham, Ramdev Agarwal, are super bullish now or are turning bullish now. We spoke about that because that was part of the conclave conversation. We spoke about tariffs, we spoke about pharma. We also spoke about the CDMO opportunity, likely why stocks are buzzing today within the pharma space. And then we took certain queries, including a Swiggy, Zomato, Trent, and the like. But what we will do is we'll wrap for the day, and we'll meet you tomorrow, same time, with a fresh perspective on what's happening. Hopefully, markets stay buoyant. You stay safe. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit. Chale?
Hersh, why is Yugo Capital trading below price?
Someone asking me. क्वेरी था क्या मिस किया हमने
Last query, अपने lap में
हाँ, ये देखो